What's up, Quadcopter fans? It's hiringadrone.com, and today I'm going to be doing a review over the Ionic CX023 quadcopter. Just received this in the mail. I was able to take it for the first flight. I did fly indoors, so I didn't fly against any wind. I didn't get a full flight in because I didn't have the battery fully charged, but I was able to kind of get a good idea about this little drone here. And from the first flight, it flew really good. Felt a little bit smoother than the Cheerston CX10, which seems to be almost a clone of it. I have read some bad reviews about this. Motors going out, it stops working, the accelerometer is being messed up. So I guess, I'll get a couple more flights in just to make sure before I, go and put my stamp on it and say, this is the end-all be-all of the minis. But, it handled really smooth. I was able to do, with the yaw rate, even on the beginner, some 360s in tight areas, able to control it pretty well, stayed pretty level. You do have to feather the gas quite a bit, which I kind of assume by the controller, just because the throttle is so loose here. It doesn't look like you can really get anything consistent. But doing the yaw, it was very nice. The pitch, not so much, but you can't ask for much for these little cheaper ones. So after taking a look at it, you'll notice when you turn the drone on, if you're new to this one and it's not your standard blue in the front, red in the back, and if you're used to your Cheerston, your charger port's in the back with your lights. This has a charger port on the side and your lights on the side. You're kind of left guessing, which way is the orientation, unless you're one of those dorks and you actually read the owner's manual, which I probably should more often. But I don't, and I just kind of get straight into flying and get straight into wrecking. So I kind of learned the hard way. But for anyone that has purchased one, your blue lights here are going to be your front orientation, and the green with the red propellers is going to be the back orientation. So like I said, it flew very well. The 360 rotations, I haven't done any flips yet. I usually don't do many flips with my quadcopters. I guess that's a good way to burn out the motors. It really, doesn't do anything for me to do the flips with them. So, not really my thing. I just enjoy trying to fly them as fast as I can and trying to see how close I can come to wrecking without doing it. Especially with these minis, because they're fun and they're cheap. So, overall, first flight, good experience. I'm not going to say it's better than the Cheerston CX10 because I just don't know. I haven't had enough flights with it. My Cheerston CX10, that thing's a tank. It hauls ass. Probably the only downside on my Cheerston, I would say, is just the drift that it has on there with the accelerometers. But sometimes you can easily just cut back the other direction, stop it dead in its tracks. But I've had a lot of really good flights with my Cheerston, indoor and outdoor, and in the wind. It does have some lifting power too as well. I'm not sure really what this one does. The battery does appear to be bigger. Charge time is more, so I'm assuming you're going to get more flight time, or it could just be to possibly lift this bigger frame, bigger battery. You might get the same flight time. So not sure how these prop guards are going to affect the flight in any way, shape, or form. So I'm really going to have to get out there, fly it in the wind, see what I think about it, and then consider taking them off. I did notice the propellers on this. These things are pretty cheap, in comparison to, the Cheerston. These things are super flimsy. Whereas you see these Cheerstons, these things are thick, so they can take a beating. You can wreck. You don't necessarily even need the prop guards on there. Motors are in there really solid, so I don't think you're going to screw too much up. But, kind of a little disappointed with how cheap these are. And these prop guards seem very, very cheap too as well, and probably will crack with ease. So that, I would give that probably an F when it comes to how cheap this is. So the controller's lacking some basic functionality, even though it's a cool design, kind of a PlayStation 3 design. When you turn it on, I've got some batteries in it now. You have your speed mode by pushing it in, but you can only tell by the blinking light. And there's not any beeps that you get from the controller itself to let you know. Your trick button is here on the right hand side, so you can flip left, flip to right, flip forward, flip backwards. And then you have your pitch here, your yaw here, and then they've done something a little bit odd, is that they've put the trim up here on the top. So maybe it's a little bit easier to be able to do this in flight, so that way you're not trying to mess with stuff down here below it, because then you have to take your hands off the stick, where at the end of the day this might actually be a better design, because you can keep your hands on the sticks and still be able to adjust while in flight. So far so good as far as the flight goes. Controller a little lacking. The noises definitely help, especially when you're looking up in the air at your quadcopter and you want to change speeds, or you want to do something. You can't always just look down and take your eye off your quadcopter in order to be able to change your speeds or make any adjustments to your quadcopter. So batteries takes AA's, so it's only 2, which is nice. Cheerston, same thing, only 2, so that's pretty standard. The USB charger, this kind of sucks because it's a special USB charger. It's not universal with most of the minis or nanos. Most of them have either one of 2 designs. This unfortunately has its own design, and the charger port on the drone itself, this just seems like a recipe for disaster, with this thing sticking out right here. It just seems so easy to break this off. The way you put the charger port in there, it just slides in just like this, and that's how you charge it. I'm afraid with the wreck possibly hitting the right thing, you could break this off and not be able to charge your drone anymore, which would suck, make it useless. Overall, engines are about the same size, motor seats, everything else kind of same design as the Cheerston. So I haven't had any issues with mine, like I was saying that everyone else is reporting. So far so good. I'm going to take it for a few more flights before I give my final thoughts on it. To kind of get an idea of whether this is something that I'd want to keep long term. Since I already do have a Cheerston, I might not necessarily need a second one, especially if it's going to have some problems and it's going to break, or it has some cheap parts. It kind of looks like they skimped a little bit on this quadcopter in comparison to the Cheerston, but again, it is a knockoff. So I actually thought it was going to be a little bit bigger when I ordered it, but ended up being the same size as the Cheerston. Just to put the 2 together so you can see an example. Obviously this looks a little bit bigger with the prop guards on there, but overall pretty much the same size. This one being obviously a lot thicker, well built, harder plastic. This one not so much, but everything is covered. Motors in the motor seats, and this one has a little bit better. I like this charger port here, less likely to get ripped off. So those are my thoughts and my review on the Ionic CX023 quadcopter. If this video helped you out anyway, definitely give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, because I will be uploading more unboxing, more reviews, as well as flights